Good morning, officially. Welcome out to the Market Watch Group Wednesday Market Midpoint. No bread, no milk, no meat, no water. Oh my gosh. Everyone's just like snatching everything up in preparation for the cyclone. And there's no food to be had. That's insane. Okay. Well, good luck. I hope you have plenty in your storage. Yeah, good morning, everyone. What did you think about the speech last night? The counter, if you watched it? I actually forgot to mark. We'll go check. I forgot to mark who won. Is that so? We were 58-28, and then didn't we say 58-20? Because then we were like waiting until right before. Anyway, we'll go look at it. As always, education, illustrative purposes only. We never give recommendation to buy or sell any security or financial product. We're not brokers. We're not advisors. Yada yada. Let's look at the opening analysis. Not great, especially when we see. Right, they're like, well, maybe they'll ease on the tariffs. You're like, that's the wrong hope to have. It's hard to be real bullish if that's your hope. And then they have jobs. The first of our job reports came back a bit lower than expected. We'll take a look at our posture as it stands halfway through this week. Mindset for open trades. What do you got? You have, I would imagine it's down to just bears or old hedges or anything that's to the downside. But if we start to see some recovery, I'll look to put a trade on. And what's going to happen to my time frame? Those time frames that say 7 to 10 days are going to drop down to 5 to 7 days, right? We're going to lower our time frames when we take profit. Remember, we'd be like, oh, we'll take a quarter or a third. Now I'll definitely take a half, maybe even 2/3, right? And then be like, oh, I'll let the last little piece run and see if something good happens. Those are the types of adjustments you should be looking to make in trade management, right? Everything about what we do, how much risk, how many trades, how tight we set our stops, how much we pair when we scale out, how tight we set stops, how quick, right? All those things are just in gradual shifts. And as our market posture has continued to regress, that's where it's put us. But we'll take a look at the opportunity list. Not a lot there, but a few things were there for a bullish trade. Otherwise, we're looking for some recoveries. And trading plan progress. How is your analytics going? In order to have Section 7 analytics, which is the dashboard tab on your spreadsheet, you would need to have filled out the log itself, which is the trade log tab. That was Section 6 for record keeping. And then once you have that, you should have what you need to start making observations that we're going to translate into trading goals, improvement mechanisms. Good morning to the Bobs. You guys came in at the same time. Bob Walker, Bob Rowland. Good to see you both. All right. Let's go take a look. Here's our futures. Here's our futures. So the market closed here yesterday. Then the Commerce Secretary said maybe he'll ease up on it a little bit in the next day or two. And you're like, oh, okay. And moves up here. And then we're flat. Let's go find 58.20. This was the start of the speech. How long was it? It poked up for a minute and then right back down. Poked up for a minute, right back down. I don't know. I'm going to say it was kind of flat. I'm going to give it to the Bs. Right? I mean, maybe at the very end, I don't think the market reacted. It's kind of what I'm seeing here. It was just kind of tepid. Right? It didn't respond up or down one way or the other. I don't know. That's how I see it. Tell me if you disagree. This morning, however, things have where we were up for most of the night have taken a turn. Why? Because private payroll growth slows sharply, adding worries to the economy. We were at 186 prior month. We were expecting 140, and we said 140 despite the fact that it's a little bit lower. We said 140 is a maintenance level. We got 75. That is not a maintenance level, right? That is when we're like, oh, 75. Okay, so there's a reluctance, right? A reluctance for adding jobs. Okay, let's go back. That was the ADP. We were thinking 148. We got 77. Not much else today, except we do have the beige book. And I don't think we're expecting to see much of anything other than the Fed saying we're not going to drop rates unless we see significant progress. And they haven't seen it yet. Like that minor little drop on the CPE is not it. However, the other thing we said was if there's enough weakness, right, the Fed might have to act in order to prevent a stall. So it's like the want to act is if the inflation drops, the need to act is to prevent a stall. Does one, worrisome ADP report? I don't even think, I would imagine the Fed doesn't even look at the ADP. I bet they only look at the government reports, to be honest. I don't know. It is a bit of a suspect report, but it's what we have from the private sector, so take it for what it will. Market didn't like it. We know that, right? 8:15 a.m., 6:15 is when that came out. Well, actually, that was here. There was something back here we didn't like too. That started things off, and then we accelerated. So that's where we are. 2 minutes before the market opens, we're about flat from yesterday. Let's take our perspective back one step, which is down here. We're off of these like extreme lows from Monday, but still pretty low. So we'll see. Does it head down and retest here, or do we start to show some measure of recovery? If we're starting to see the measure of recovery, that might be enough for you to say, hey, you know what? If I have a couple of bullish setups, which we're going to go see that we do, then there may be potential to put it on. A bullish trade or two. Right now, I would imagine if you had a hedge, still managing it, still have some of it. Okay, we're about to open. I'm going to transition over to SPY. SPY set to open pretty flat, and then we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, we've got another sell day to mark. As we VIX near 24, right? As we consider our posture as it is real time, what would be happening to the volume score real time? Well, we went from a 4-1, hoping that we might get a buying day, unencumbered, unopposed buying day, and instead we're getting, or we already got 2 sell days. So at this point, even if we get a buy day, like a strong recovery day, it's still going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 2. That's still a minus a half, maybe even worse. But if we have 6 to 1, yeah, volume's going to get worse. This right here, this was oh so concerning. Let's go look at that VIX Bob Walker's talking about. It's up near 24. Up near these highs here, not this one, but here. Yeah, look, for me, if we roll over from here, when the VIX is at a high point and drops, there is opportunity there bullishly. I do want to be ready for some bullish opportunity. But right now, we just have to be patient to see. One of the things we talked about was the possibility of switching down to a shorter time frame. In fact, let's just drop it down a little at a time. Let's go down to a 1 hour. And you can kind of see what, if you're thinking, hey, I see some moves in here. You might think, well, if I want to catch these a little better, there are trade perspectives in between swing trading and day trading. Where you look to sit through some of this that you would not sit through if you were down at like a 5-minute chart, right? It just depends on your preferences and your time frames. If you're looking at that, let's go back that 30. So you can kind of see here. Well, this is the VIX. Let's go to something that. That is the wheat futures. We don't care about that. And here's the SPY. On a 30-minute chart, what do we see here? Yeah, nothing yet. Nothing yet. Okay, let's go through our list. What would my expectations be right now? That my trading activity is lower, that my risk levels are lower, that what I expect to see to take a trade is uncompromising because I'm not looking for a reason to trade. But I need a reason to convince me to trade in this type of a setting. The propensity for over trading in this market is quite high, in my opinion. Okay, let's see what the watch list tells us. I'll tell you though, one thing, Apple is like the hope right now of the NASDAQ. Because it is 11% of the NASDAQ. Don't forget that. It's a huge chunk of the NASDAQ. Apple and Microsoft. And so, no, Bob, I closed my TPR. I broke support, and I closed. If you didn't, and it's up a little for you, great. Absolutely. Be mindful that when trades fail, if it seems like, oh, look, it might, the next fail down could be worse than the prior, and then it's days later. So, yeah, if you didn't get out, make sure you have a line in the sand. I mean, maybe it recovers from here. Maybe it works out. It'd be amazing, right? So, okay, so Apple, we had the buyers. So what we see right now, and this is a common theme that you're going to be looking for, is there any consolidations that you believe are still attached to strong bullish moves prior, right? Eyeballing that, I'd say that's a little more than 50%, but it's not like a 68 if you're a Fibonacci person. Right? Let me show you what I mean real fast. I actually don't want these tools. I want these tools. And drawing tools, fib. Okay, 62. It is around 62 right there. That's the retracement. Okay. Whoops. But what does that mean to me? It means if it turns, I think there's an opportunity there for a leader to try to pull things and see what kind of an effect it has. AEE, Amarin. Oh, look at that. Yeah. New high. It's pulling back. If it stabilizes anywhere above, I'd say 97.50. Quite honestly, it could pull back a little further, and I'd still be interested. It's a little bit of a blow off, like a little bit of a parabolic move real fast. I could probably set that as my target. I wouldn't even look for a higher high. If I'm catching this thing somewhere in here, I'll just look for that 5 points, try to risk 1.5 or 2 to get it and call it a day if a trade develops there. So first two look pretty good. Amazon is a no. The vast majority of what we're going to see is going to be in some measure of consolidation that needs to break out and recover before anything looks appealing there. In fact, this is where you might start to think, hey, if this thing moves up and fails, I might try a put. I'm not saying on Amazon. I'm saying on something else that is maybe got more profits to give back. I'm not necessarily inclined to bet against Amazon. Baba. It's choppy, but you can see it's holding this support level and trying to turn around. Stochastics is turning. Yeah. Back here, it got a hike and actually failed. This is the next one. If you think it's going to go, it's this. And you'll try to ride it and see if it can get back to, at least 145. That's about 9 points. Yeah, I think you could get 3 to 1. I think you could risk 3 to get 9 on this and just look for it to retest the old high. If you were looking for something there, that's potential. I might. BAC, no. Let me get out of the hike and ashy candles. Doesn't look good there in the financials or there. Caterpillar, I mean, it's up 1% from what? From this terribly worst low it's seen in months. CEN down. CLS down in consolidations, nothing there. Well, look at CME. CME maybe off this yesterday, maybe it's trying to Stabilize. Anything above 247.5. If this gives me a turn, I'd be thinking about it. Cisco. I still think it's fine. I mean, the sellers really haven't done much. Let's move this down here. If you're in it, you're frustrated because you're like, well, what do you mean it's fine? It just keeps on dragging. Yeah, I get that. Same thing happened here. Drag. Boom, made the move. The trend is still intact. Delta down low. That's the thing too, right? Is you're like, oh, well, these things are looking bearish. Well, not down here. Maybe if you caught this little turn pretty quickly and you're like, bam, I slap a put. You got to be fast. Fallout windows. Now it looks like it could do another one of these, and then if it falls again, that's what we would be looking for. We're not looking to take bearish trades at the end of a move that just went down for days and days, right? This could be the start of what we're looking for that says what? Well, let's see if this thing moves up. I mean, if it got all the way to here, it's still under the 50 and it's still a lower high. That's bearish looking. At that point, there would be a lot of things that would be showing this type of a thing where you're thinking, this type of a setup where your thought process is maybe we're heading down to the next lower low at this point. Maybe we're not done yet. Because remember what we said. If this is turning into a corrective move, a true correction, that's not like, is it or isn't it? 10%. Which on SPY as a barometer is 552. 10%. That's a whole nother one of these down after a recovery and then some, if that's what we're going to see. So is there potential for bearish trades still? Yes. Do we want to get in late? No. Let's be patient for whatever signal comes next. Duke Energy. Possibly in a setup mode. Keeping an eye on that. Fastenal, no. FHN, no. FI, maybe. We took out these lows. We're way back to this old resistance. New support. You can see here it's maybe trying to come down and test the 50. Flex, no. Fox, maybe. That looks great. Communication services is still a sector holding some strength. And this is, just made new highs, pulling back. The sellers have hardly touched it. That's the kind of thing we'd be looking for. Bitcoin, no. GE Vernova, most you can see in the consolidation. Gold, ooh. Starting to waver a bit. This gold trade. Google. Come on, Google. What's going on? My internet connection is unstable. That's impossible. It's brand new internet. Zoom. Don't project. Okay, Goldman. Sorry, made me distracted me from my Google analysis. No. Goldman. We were thinking maybe if it held near the 50 at this point, it's got to be a no. It's in consolidation. All of them consolidating. HTHT. If you were going to do it, you'd already be in it. I don't feel like this is the time for continuation trades. Or you might think to yourself, I was waiting for a break of the triangle. We had a little triangle pennant discussion last night. If you missed it, it was amazing. I'm not saying we solved the market, but we got really close with it last night. You should have been there. Um, actually, I think this is still viable. We know it's got the capacity to get up here to 43. What is HTHT? It's H World Group Limited ADR. And they are a company that does some things. And trade under the symbol HTHT. And what else do I know about this company? It's hotels. Develop, lease, own franchise in the People's Republic of China. Under Hanting Hotel, Ni Hao Hotel, Hai Inn, Elan Hotels, Leap, Ibis, G, Orange, Starway, Ibis. Oh my God, they got just a ton. They got hotels all over the country, formerly known as the Huazhu Group. Changed its name to, I think I remember that stock in 2022. HTHT. There you go. Hotels, obviously. I knew that the whole time. Let's go. What else? HWM. Maybe? I don't know. Howmet Aerospace. I'd say it's worth a consideration. IBM sideways. I said no to earlier, and you can see why I'm not a big fan. Small caps gone positive today. So again, if we do take this today as a bullish indicator, and we end up putting a bullish trade on, it's not going to be very many bullish trades. It's not going to be, it's not going to be very many bullish trades. The risk level will be smaller. The expectation smaller. Because I'm at the same time thinking if this bullish move fails, I'm increasingly going to trade the next bearish cycle. That's my thought. KMB. Coca-Cola. Oh, Coca-Cola setting up maybe. Let's see if our defensives have anything. Maybe Kroger. Actually, it's got earnings. Maybe not. MasterCard, no. Same thing. Meta's got a little bit of it's up a little teeny bit. So what? It broke. When it breaks, it's wrong. When it's wrong, we close. That's my philosophy. Morgan, and now it's untradeable. Morgan, no, untradeable. Microsoft, untradeable. NASDAQ. Netflix looks pretty good, actually. It's expensive. It's expensive, but there may be a trade here for us. Look at your vol, my friends. Your vols are high. Here's another thing you should expect. Expect your spreads to be wider than normal now. That's another way that the market maker protects themselves. So if you're used to seeing like 7 to 10 cent spreads, double that. Market makers are just going to throw a little extra cushion in for them, which makes it just a little extra hard for us. But yeah, Netflix looks pretty good actually as a leader in the communication services space. NiSource maybe setting up there. Nvidia, no, it's got to go through a full deal, a full consolidation breaker. Same with PLTR. Philip Morris, maybe. PRMB, maybe. Couple things setting up there, potentially. Q's, technology is definitely under stress. Roblox, slowing down, but still hasn't done enough. Same with Reddit. Where would I set a stop for the SPY put as of now? You're saying? Yeah, we'll talk about that. SE. Oh, SE bouncing out of their earnings. That was one that we were like, maybe we could try a pre-earnings trade. And it did ultimately get up before earnings, but not before going through some things. So, SPY is up 40 cents. Quite honestly, today's high already is going to start making me think, conservatively, 585 here, where it failed. We don't want to see it break back above that. More aggressively, you might even come down like to something like here. You've got this touch point right around this gap level where you're like, hey, if it breaks above that, then I'm gonna go take some out. So I'm gonna be looking at those levels, intraday levels at this point. So yeah. But let's go. You can kind of see 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our opening range at this point. If we break the opening range, 576.5 to the downside, I think we're heading towards prior lows, which are from Monday down here at 572. And you might think, oh, that's not that far. It's 5 points. It's 1%. If we break above, I don't think necessarily here, but definitely here. If we break above 580, well, then we maybe make a run up towards 583, 584 in this range. I don't know. This could be interesting to see. We've got a hard day ahead of us, though. TAL. I mean, if the 50 was enough for you, you probably could do this. I just don't think there's a lot of legs, but who knows? What else? Is this the education group out of China as well? Yep. People's Republic of China. Now I've got my fundamental data at hand. Toast still down. TPR. You can see it's just back where it was now. Tesla's looking doggish. I actually was hoping it was going to move up in here a little bit further and then look for the next put, but we'll see what happens there. Taiwan Semiconductor. Apparently, according to Trump, this company has 97% of the market share in chips. 97%. That's a baffling number when I think of the size of a company like NVIDIA or Intel or Micron or many others. Tesla German sales are down. Yeah, Tesla's turning from a cultish trade to a political avoidance trade, it appears. And that could be an interesting result. Twilio's down. Visa, I like. There's a leader in a space that we know credit can stand alone outside of the rest of the financial sector. VFC, nope. Right? They're not holding on. If it's not holding on, it's not holding on. Viking, same thing. It just keeps going. Now all of a sudden you're like, hey, it didn't hold the 50. Now what? Now you're close to earnings. There's nothing there for us. Patience. We don't force trades. VIX is up today. So the fear levels are still there. Walmart. Okay, so I talked about Walmart as a potential little hiccup, and I still see that setting up. I'm a fan of Walmart in these situations. So if this thing stabilizes and bounces from here without retesting this low, that's something. Okay, there's the list. Questions, comments, concerns? How are you feeling? Do you feel like you know what you need to see before you put on another trade? Do you feel like you know how many trades and how much risk you're willing to have? To either side, bullish or bearish. Miguel says I'm staying out. Love it. Love it. And look, if you get like me where you just kind of like I like to have something. Yeah, cut it down. Cut it in half. Less trades, less risk. I put a couple of things on, so I'm doing something. Okay. What's next? Well, you can always be putting time into your trading plan right now. The other thing is, and let's go just take a quick peek at it. Things like iron condors or IONQ. Yes, El Diego, sure will. Absolutely. I could put a butterfly spread maybe around 585 here. And if it bounces back up and gets above it, I could put another one on. I'm going to be looking at that. I'm going to look at that. There may be some advanced option trades that come out. If you're, the other thing I would highly recommend is still paper trade, even if you're not trading. Just keep on, practicing what you're doing. IONQ for a put. Put looks good. One thing you can always do on the downside is the same thing we do on the upside, and that's switch over to a Heiken Ashi candle. And you've got this nice string of red candles. Beauty. What do I not like about today's candle? Smaller than the previous day. Higher low than the previous day. So, something like that makes me think it's maybe losing momentum, but that happens a lot and then accelerates in this pattern right now. So what could I do? I could go ahead and pair out. Sandy says maybe time to take some profit. I could put my stop above yesterday's Heiken Ashi. And then as long as it just stays like this, then tomorrow I'll do this for tomorrow. And then if it reaccelerates, great. And then I can keep on moving down. Yeah, I think this is a great perspective. The Heiken Ashi. Let's take a quick look at the 4 hour. Or if you're getting a little bit more antsy, you could come here and go above this one and see if it reignites. And if not, right, you're still that's you're giving a good amount back. You're 22.40. The stop is at 24. That's maybe more than you want to give. But that's what I would be thinking about in that regard. So there you go. Hopefully that's helpful. But yes, if you're in bearish trades right now, you should be thinking about how you're going to take profit. Same thing Miguel's doing. Same thing I'm doing. Same thing, right? We'll see where that puts us. All right. So here's what's next. Glenn will be here later this afternoon for the full hour to wrap the market up. And then tomorrow we'll have our working session, foundations, Q&As. Let's keep talking about it. Don't not show up. Or in other words, show up. And we'll keep talking about it. We'll process it. We'll get on the right side of this thing, even if we just have to do a few things that get us through in the short term. It's good to see everybody. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow. Happy trading.
Recording stopped.